Hi there, crafty friends. Welcome and thank you for joining me. My name is Melissa, and today I thought we would make a card using the Joyful Bunny stamp and stencil combo, and then the die. So I ordered the stamp and stencil combo. You can order them separately. These are from Tailored Expressions. And I thought, you know what? We only have a short window of time to get some Easter cards made. We did an Easter basket last week, but today I want to do a card. And I also purchased the Joyful Bunny die. And this is really cute because it is stitched. And then for our sentiment, we are going to be using Tailored Expressions Hello Spring. It has a ton of Easter sentiments on there. And then I also got the coordinating dies. So let's go ahead and get started. We've got our stencils, our stamp. I'm going to bring in my mini Misty, and I am going to place this right about there. It fits perfect in my mini Misty, but I want to make sure that it closes good. So let's bring in a piece of cardstock. We are starting with 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I am just going to put a little piece of adhesive in each corner. Well, not each corner, but in 2 of the corners, and we're just going to place that on our stamp and pick it up, and that is placed perfect. And then we can stamp our image. So I am going to be using 3 colors today. We are using all Pinkfresh. I'm using Fresh Pear, Sheer Freesia, and Opulence. And let's do our background in Sheer Freesia. And I did stamp this up a couple times just because this is a larger image and I want to get really good coverage on here. So let's see what we get with our first pass. And we definitely need to ink that up again. Now this ink, it is going to appear a little bit dark, but it will lighten because it is a dye ink and it will lighten as it dries. I think we'll probably need to ink this up 3 times. One more time should be good. And I want to just mention, please give me a thumbs up. Please leave me a comment and subscribe if you have not already. YouTube loves comments. And I saw this set and I thought, oh, you know what? That's so cute. That would be perfect for making some easy cards. I spent a lot of time on my baskets that I showed last week, and I don't need a whole lot of Easter cards. I just need a few. And I thought, oh, that set will be perfect to mass produce, probably 7 or 8. And I think that looks pretty good. It looks a little uneven in areas, but once it dries, like I said, this is a dye ink. It will lighten up and it will smooth out. So we're going to set this aside and let that dry. And then we can go ahead and we can work on our bunny. So I've got one little bunny here that I already die cut, and this is so cute. It's got all that stitching detail in there, and it gives sort of a folk image impression. And that is just so cute. So I already cut that out of the die. Let's bring in our sticky mat, and I am going to put that little bunny on my sticky mat. Now these stencils are all numbered in the corner, but we're going out of order. I want to do number 1 last. So let's go ahead and bring in number 2. And number 2 is just the little circles around the flowers. And all you have to do is follow the stitching on that bunny everything lines up perfectly. If you can see in there, the stencil just lined up right over those little stitch marks in the bunny. And if you don't get the die, that's all right, because the stencil will line up perfectly over your stamped image if you don't want to invest in the die. But I like to mention, and I knew I wanted to have my bunny stacked. So let's go ahead. We are going to start with our sheer freesia. Actually, you know what? For this one, we're using Opulence. We're going to use Opulence, and we are just going to add some deep, rich color for those flowers. Just as simple as that. So now we can move on to our next stencil. I'm going to leave that there. And our next stencil will do the flower centers, and it will add dot detail. So just get that lined up, and that's perfect. And you can see each one of those little stitched dots lines up perfectly with the little dots in the stencil. So we're going to bring in our sheer freesia, and I am going to do my flower centers. And it's okay if it's a little dark because it will lighten up, but I want it a little bit darker. I want some contrast in my colors here. So we've got our flower centers done, and now there are still some little dots, and I'm just going to randomly color those with our sheer freesia. Not necessarily all of them, because I'm also going to bring in my Opulence and make some of those dots darker. And for that, I am going to bring in an even smaller brush. And I love these blending brushes. These are from Waffle Flower, and these are my favorite blending brushes. And I am just going to color in some of those dots darker. Not all of them, but some of them. And you know what? We're probably going to end up covering a lot of these with jewels and gems. So you don't have to worry about, you know, any kind of rhyme or reason and covering everything. So now we can take our second stencil off, and that is so cute. I just love that. So now let's bring in our third stencil, which is actually the first stencil. And again, it lines up really easy with those stitch marks. And here we are going to bring in fresh pear. And I am going to cover this entire thing, and I'm going to go pretty heavy-handed because fresh pear is a light color, and I want to get it as dark as possible. I want good coverage. So we've got our fresh pear on there, and we're going to just kind of wipe off that little bit of excess ink, because now I am going to bring in my Distress Texture Paste in Sparkle. And the reason I did this stencil last was because this needs to dry. So we're just going to take a little bit of this, and we're just going to drag that across the entire image, and you don't need much. Now normally I would take and I would put the excess back into my little jar here, but it did pick up a little bit of that green color, so I'm not going to do that. But I'm not worried about wasting that little bit because there's not much at all. So we can close that up. And what I like to do, I didn't show you, I like to take a piece of white paper and a piece of black paper, and I just put a little dot of the paste on top, And that way I can see what this would look like on black paper or what it would look like on white. And it's just all glitter and it turns shiny. That is so pretty. So now we can take our stencil off very carefully. And you can see that that needs a minute to dry, but it gives nice dimension, and that is going to be so pretty. So meanwhile, I am going to run to the sink and clean off my stencil. It is really important that you always clean your stencils immediately anytime you use any kind of texture paste or any type of glitter or anything like that. You need to clean it right away. So I got my stencil all cleaned off, and this is going to need a little while to dry. I'm going to say about a half hour, but I've got one that I completed last night in preparation, and the sparkle and the shine on that is so pretty. I just love that glitter. So now we can bring back in our panel that we did. We started with 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I went ahead and I trimmed that down to 4 by 5 1/4. I took 1/8 of an inch off each side so it is nice and centered. And then I've got some bunnies here that I stacked. I have 2 here. So I am going to go ahead and attach my completed bunny to this so we can get some nice dimension. This card came together so easily and it is super cute. So we'll go ahead and we will add the completed and dried bunny to a stack. I need new die cutting plates. I'm getting little hairs of paper when I die cut. All right, so that is all done. I have a piece of foam I am going to put on the back of my completed panel because I do like dimension. So now I am just going to add that panel with the foam attached to my card base. And I'm using liquid glue so I can kind of move that around. I think that looks pretty good. That's nice and centered. So now we can take our little bunny. We can add him to our card. And he fits perfect over that image. And like I said, if you don't want to purchase the die, you really don't have to, because you can use your stencils straight on that panel. You don't have to die cut it. There we go. I think that should be good. And now all we have to do is embellish this card. That was so easy. I've got a little ribbon here that I tied into a bow. And I think we are going to bring in, I don't know if I want to use some of the champagne drops, but I've definitely got my amethyst and leaf glitter drops from Pinkfresh. And these are just going to add fabulous shine to our card. And we also have our sentiment. I pre-did a couple sentiments here, and I used that Hello Spring stamp set. You get a whole bunch of sentiments on there and the coordinating die. And I liked this scripty Easter. And I just love it when there is a coordinating die that cuts out a scripty sentiment. So first, let's figure out where we're going to place that. And we can go ahead and add that. And I think right there is probably pretty good. We can just flip it back, add a little bit of glue. And I did stack this. I've got this stacked 3 times. And that should be good. We will place that right there. I think that's straight. That looks pretty good. So now all we have to do is add our embellishments. And I am just going to scatter these. Some of these I'm going to put the amethyst. I believe that's amethyst. Yes. And some of the flower centers I will put the leaf. And I'm not using the largest one. I am using the medium. And I'm just going to randomly choose different colors. And then I will also take some of the little ones. We've got little tiny gems in here. And I will put a few of those. I know I've got some here. There we go. I will put a few of those on those little dots that we randomly colored. We colored some in the Fresh Freesia and some in the Opulence. And there you go. I added my gems. Oops, my little bow is not glued down yet. Well, it's glued down, but it didn't set. There we go. I added my little ribbon. Hopefully that glue will adhere pretty quickly. And that is so cute. I just love all that sparkle. We've got the sparkle from the gems, and then we've got, oops, looks like one of them moved because of that ribbon. We've got the sparkle from the gems, and we've got the sparkle from the glitter paste, and that is so cute. I just love that. Isn't that easy? And it took no time at all. I've got a couple others here. This one I did with the Opulence for my background, and I really am liking that one. I like the darker colors on that one. Here I've got one that I did in Slumber ink color, and that also came out super cute. And then I've got a couple in pink here. So this one I did a pink bow, and I used, of course, the Pinkfresh gems. I have a lot of those, and the sparkle is just amazing. That is so cute. And then here I also did the pink. The pink in my background is Ballet Slipper, but I did my leaf images in Peony, and that also came out so cute. And on this one I added a glitter cardstock matte, and I like that, but I thought it was just a little bit too much. So that's why I just did the white background with the others. But these are so quick and easy, and they are perfect for sending out for Easter. You still have plenty of time. Please let me know what you think of these cards. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.